Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going on a trip down memory lane, but it's a bittersweet one. We're going to talk about a retail giant that once dotted the American landscape, a place of blue light specials and nostalgic childhood memories. We're talking about Kmart. Remember them? At its peak, Kmart had over 2,000 stores across the country. It was a behemoth, a pioneer of the discount store model. So, what happened? Why did this retail titan, a store that was once a part of so many people's lives, virtually vanish from the face of the earth? Let's dive in and unravel the story of Kmart's rise and dramatic fall. The story begins way back in 1899 with a man named Sebastian S. Kresge. He opened his first 5-and-dime store in downtown Detroit. These SS Kresge stores were a massive success. They offered a wide variety of goods at low prices, a formula that resonated with the American public. The company grew rapidly, and by the 1920s, there were hundreds of Kresge stores. Fast forward to the post-war boom of the 1950s and 60s. America was changing, suburbs were sprawling, car culture was taking over, and families wanted one-stop shopping destinations. The old downtown 5-and-dime model was starting to feel a little dated. This is where the genius of Harry B. Cunningham comes in. As the president of the SS Kresge Company, he saw the future. He looked at what competitors like Woolworths were experimenting with, and he decided to go all in on a new concept, the large-format self-service discount store located in suburban strip malls with plenty of parking. In 1962, the very first Kmart store opened its doors in Garden City, Michigan. It was an instant hit. The timing was perfect. Kmart offered everything from clothing and electronics to toys and home goods, all under one roof, and at prices that were hard to beat. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, Kmart was unstoppable. They were expanding at an incredible rate, sometimes opening multiple stores in a single week. They became famous for their blue light specials, a brilliant marketing gimmick. A store employee would roll a cart with a flashing blue light to a random department and announce a surprise limited-time sale on a specific item. It created a sense of excitement and urgency, turning a regular shopping trip into a treasure hunt. People loved it. For decades, Kmart was the king of discount retail. It wasn't just a store, it was a cultural phenomenon. So, with all this success, where did it all go wrong? The first cracks began to appear in the late 1980s and early 1990s. While Kmart was enjoying its reign, two other companies were quietly building their empires, learning from Kmart's model and, crucially, improving upon it. Those companies were Walmart and Target. Walmart, under the leadership of Sam Walton, was perfecting its supply chain. They invested heavily in logistics and technology to track inventory with ruthless efficiency. This allowed them to keep their shelves stocked and their prices even lower than Kmart. They focused on a strategy of everyday low prices, which proved more sustainable than Kmart's flashy but inconsistent blue light specials. On the other end of the spectrum, you had Target. Target positioned itself as a more stylish, upscale discounter. They collaborated with famous designers to create exclusive, affordable lines of clothing and home goods. They created a cleaner, brighter, and more organized shopping experience. Their slogan, "Expect more, pay less," perfectly captured their strategy. They weren't just competing on price, they were competing on style and customer experience. Suddenly, Kmart was caught in the middle. It wasn't the cheapest anymore, that was Walmart. And it wasn't the trendiest, that was Target. It was stuck in a retail no-man's land, losing its identity. Instead of facing these new threats head-on by reinvesting in its core business, Kmart's leadership made a series of questionable decisions. In the early 90s, they went on a diversification spree, buying up other companies like Walden Books, the Sports Authority, and off. The idea was to create a portfolio of specialty retail brands, but this strategy stretched the company thin. Management's attention and, more importantly, its money were being diverted away from the main Kmart stores, which were desperately in need of an update. While Walmart was investing billions in state-of-the-art inventory systems, Kmart's technology was falling further and further behind. Their supply chain was inefficient. It was common for stores to have empty shelves of popular items while the backroom was overflowing with stuff nobody wanted. The stores themselves began to look dated and neglected. They were often cluttered, poorly lit, and understaffed. The shopping experience, which was once a key part of their appeal, became a point of frustration for customers. People started to associate Kmart with messy aisles and long checkout lines. The company tried to fight back. They launched their own celebrity brands, like the Jaclyn Smith clothing line and the Martha Stewart Everyday collection. These were actually quite successful and brought a lot of customers into the stores. But the problem was, once they were in the store, the poor overall experience often drove them away. You might come in for a Martha Stewart towel set, but if you had to navigate a messy store and wait 20 minutes in line to buy it, you probably wouldn't be in a hurry to come back. These popular brands were like band-aids on a much deeper wound. The final blow came in the early 2000s. The company was drowning in debt from its failed diversification strategy and years of In 2002, Kmart filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, a shocking development for a company that had once been so dominant. They closed hundreds of stores and laid off thousands of employees. It was a massive moment in American retail history, but there was a glimmer of hope, or so it seemed. Enter Eddie Lampert, a billionaire hedge fund manager. He saw an opportunity in the bankrupt Kmart. He bought up a controlling stake in the company, brought it out of bankruptcy, and in a move that stunned the business world, engineered a merger with another struggling retail icon, Sears. In 2005, Sears Holdings Corporation was formed, combining two of America's oldest and most famous retailers. The logic, at least on paper, was to create a new retail powerhouse. They could combine their strengths, leverage their real estate, and compete with Walmart and Target. Unfortunately, the reality was a disaster. Lampert's strategy was not that of a traditional retailer. He was a financier. He seemed more interested in financial engineering and extracting value from the company's assets, particularly its vast real estate holdings, than in actually improving the stores. The new Sears Holdings continued to underinvest in its stores. Instead of renovating and modernizing Kmart and Sears locations, the company sold off its most valuable properties and leased them back, generating short-term cash but weakening its long-term position. The two brands were never truly integrated. They operated as separate, competing entities under one dysfunctional corporate umbrella. The culture clash was immense. Morale plummeted. The company was starved of the capital it needed to compete in the fast-evolving retail landscape, especially with the rise of online shopping and Amazon. Both Sears and Kmart stores fell into a state of visible decline. The roofs leaked, the carpets were stained, and the shelves were increasingly bare. It was a slow, painful, and very public downward spiral. Over the next decade, Sears Holdings would lurch from one crisis to another, closing hundreds upon hundreds of Kmart and Sears stores each year. The blue light special, which they tried to bring back, had lost its magic. The world had moved on. By 2018, the inevitable happened. Sears Holdings filed for bankruptcy, a second and final death knell for the once mighty Kmart. Today, only a handful of Kmart stores remain in the mainland US and its territories. They are relics of a bygone-era ghost towns of retail. So, what's the ultimate lesson from Kmart's story? It's a classic tale of a company that failed to adapt. They got complacent, underestimated their competition, and made a series of disastrous strategic blunders. They forgot the most important rule of retail. You have to give customers a compelling reason to walk through your doors. Whether it's the lowest price, the best products, or the most enjoyable experience, you have to stand for something. In the end, Kmart stood for nothing, and so, it fell. It's a sad end for a brand that holds so many fond memories for so many people. The thrill of a blue light special, the smell of the in-store cafeteria, begging your parents for a new toy. It was a part of growing up for generations. But the marketplace is unforgiving. Kmart's story serves as a powerful cautionary tale for any business. Innovate or evaporate. What are your favorite memories of Kmart? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to read them. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this look back at retail history, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos. See you in the next one.